there, it's Nina with Walla Stamping. Thank you for joining me today. So this is the card that I'm going to share with you. I did my Facebook Live last night and I wasn't going to do another tutorial today because, as most of you know, that we're trying to get ready to move, but I decided that I was going to take a break from packing and getting ready to move, and I was going to play in my craft room today. So I am going to bring you a tutorial after all. I wanted to do something relatively quick and simple, so I came up with this card, and it is using our Eastern Medallions framelits. Let me show those to you. That's this set here. I'm sure you have seen these either from me or some other Stampin' Up! Demonstrator because everybody is using these right now because they are an early release from Stampin' Up! And I decided that I would go ahead and do a card for you today, but break away from the Eastern Palace Designer Series paper and use some different colors and just make a very basic card. But then I just couldn't leave well enough alone, so I recreated the little centerpiece, but I turned it into a shaker card. So we're going to make this card today, and I'm going to show you how to do the shaker card version of it. So let's set this to the side and I'll show you what all you're going to need to create this card. You're going to start out with a piece of thick Whisper White. This is cut to 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to fold it and burnish it at 4 1/4. Then a piece of Smoky Slate, and this is cut to 5 by 4. Then I have a couple of pieces of our Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper. The larger one is 4 by 4 and the smaller one is 2 by 2. There is a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock. This is cut to 3 by 3, or let's see, maybe that's 3.5 by 3.5 actually. And then I have a piece of Sweet Sugar Plum, and this is 2.5 by 2.5. And of course I have a kit. Go over to my blog and find the post for this project, leave a comment, and your name will be entered to win this kit. And of course, as always, there will be a printable PDF for you with all the measurements as well as the supplies that I used to create this card. And you can shop at my online store straight from my website, and that's wallastamping.com. So let's get started, and you can score this if you would like. I did not bring my Simply Scored scoring tool over here, nor did I bring my trimmer to this workspace. So I'm just going to fold this over, give it a light press with my fingers, and then just use my bone folder to give that crease a really sharp, good press. Okay, so there's the base of your card. Then you'll take your Smoky Slate, and I'm going to be using Fast Fuse to adhere this to my card. You can use snail too. That's actually what I used before, but I just had the Fast Fuse right here handy, so either one is perfectly appropriate to stick this to the front of your card with. Alright, get that lined up. Okay, we're finished with this for the moment. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create this little medallion, and what I put in there actually comes from the Sprinkles embellishment. We'll get started by cutting out our medallion first. So I'm going to put my Blushing Bride cardstock here, and I'm going to take this medallion from the Eastern Medallions framelits, and I'm also going to be using my Layering Circles framelits dies, and I'm going to use the largest circle for this. I'm going to put that around the outside of my Eastern Medallion framelit and get that centered up the best that I can, and then we'll run it through our Big Shot and get it cut out. Sometimes when you cut those out, you may have a couple of little pieces left in there, but those will just pop right out just by pushing on it with your finger. Now we're going to run this back through, and we're going to cut the center out. Now to do that with, I'm going to use my Layering Circles framelits again, and I'm going to take the third from the smallest circle and line that up in the center of this cut piece here. So once you get that cut out, this is what you'll be left with. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the sweet sugar plum. We're going to use that same circle that we just had, and we're going to put that in the center and cut this out. And I'm going to go up one size, which should be the fourth from the smallest circle, and I'm going to do my best to line this up around that previously cut circle as evenly and centered as possible. I didn't do half bad on that. Yay me! Okay, last thing we're going to do is the size that we just used, which was the fourth from the smallest. We're going to lay that, and I almost cut this too small. I think I told you this piece should be 2 by 2. I'm thinking that we should make that 2.5 by 2.5. It was actually a little scrap, so it may not even be 2 by 2. That I need to cut out with the largest scallop circle from your layering circles, the 4 by 4 inch piece of glimmer paper. We need to run that through and get that cut out also. Now what I have here is a piece of window sheet that I stamped on, and the stamp set I used, of course, is the Eastern Beauty stamp set, and I used "To think of you is to smile." I think that that is just an all-around simple greeting that you can use for all different types of occasions, so that's why I decided to use that one. And because I'm stamping on acetate, I went ahead and stamped it, and I did use Stays On ink, but I also wanted to sit it aside for several minutes to make sure that it was dry so that I could handle it. Now this window sheet was 2.5 by 2.5 inches, and I stamped on it, and then just like with some of the other pieces, I used my fourth from the smallest circle to cut that out. Okay, now we need to start building. So we're going to, this is going to be our base, but we're going to build everything and then put it on top of that. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use my fine tip glue pen and take this little circular frame that I cut out, and I'm going to put glue on the back and go ahead and adhere that to the front of my medallion here. So now that I have the little frame adhered there, I'm going to be using glue dots to attach my sentiment to the window. You're going to want to flip the window over upside down, and you're also going to adhere your window sheet with it being upside down or the back facing you, so your wording is going to be backwards. Now once you get all of your glue dots down, and you can decide how many you want to use, I kind of put one in each of these little areas here that are kind of a half circle. Then I want one of these little pointed areas here to be the top of my medallion, so I'm going to lay that down in such a way that I can put my window sheet on it, make sure that it's straight, and that I have everything going in the right direction. So I'm going to push that down, and some of those glue dots are going to stick out from underneath, and that's okay because you're not going to see it anyway. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take some foam adhesive strips, and I'm not going to need a whole piece, but I'm going to go ahead and take probably about 3/4 of a piece off of here. Snip that away, and I'm going to take the backing off because it's easier to manipulate this when there's no paper on it. So I'm just going to start right up here and just go all the way around, making sure that you cannot see this from inside the window. Then when I get back around and I see that I've got a little bit too much, I just stick that down there really close together slide my scissors in that little open space and trim off this piece I don't need. At this point, you're going to take your sprinkles embellishments, and I just put a couple of pinches in there. Then you'll take, oops, there's a few that are stuck to my foam adhesive strip. If that happens to you, just pull them off and toss them on the inside. Take the piece of glimmer paper that you cut out and stick that right down on top of your foam adhesive strip. Push that down really well so that that glimmer paper will hold on to the adhesive on that strip. And then you have your little shaker card embellishment. Now let's finish building our card. I'm going to bring my card base back in, and I'm going to adhere this large Dazzling Diamonds scallop circle into place. And to do that with, I'm just going to use my fast fuse. Just a couple of strips is all you need. And I wanted mine right in the very center because I'm not going to add any other sentiments to this card on the outside. Then we have our little shaker card portion. What I'm going to do with this is use some glue dots to adhere that to my card. So I'm just going to take about 3 or 4 glue dots, put it on the back of my shaker element, and then, oopsie, well, that one doesn't want to stay stuck. Turn that back over, get that centered up, and then I'm going to open the card and give it a little press like that. As a matter of fact, I think I'll just take my bone folder and push it around to make sure that that glimmer paper and those glue dots attached to one another, because I do not want this coming off. Now, because this does stick up, you probably would not want to send this card through the mail, because it more than likely, probably about a 90% chance, will get smushed down if you try to run it through the mail. But if you're going to hand this card to someone, you could probably safely put it in an envelope and not have to worry about it, especially if you use an envelope that's probably about a 1/2 inch longer and a 1/2 inch wider than your card is, to allow for that little bit of extra bulk. Now, if you're going to make this version of the card, what you would do differently is when you get your medallion made, you stick your sentiment on the back with your glue dots, and you adhere your frame to the front. Then all you need to do is take some glue dots, and let me just use this as an example, and put them out here on these little areas of your medallion, and then just stick that right down on top of your glimmer paper. You could also use the fine tip glue pen if you wanted to, and just run some glue all around these little filigreed areas out here, or you could also use some liquid multi-purpose glue. Either of those will work just fine. So here are the 2 versions of this card that I wanted to share with you today. Like I said, I will have a printable PDF on my website at wallastamping.com. You can get all of the instructions as well as the measurements over there, and I will give instructions for both cards. So if you don't want to do a shaker card, you can do this kind, and this one will be more suitable for putting through the mail. Also, I have some goodie bags here. There is a blog post on my website called Moving Sale. Check it out to see how you can get a bag of goodies from me that has lots of things in it for you to make your own card, as well as a handmade card from me. And a free tutorial goes along with it. There's a sneak peek. So if you have any questions or if you need anything, please let me know, and I'll be talking to you soon.